Hello, everyone. Hank Settle here doing a review for Goddess Elite on this amazing Runic Tarot. Let me add it to the stream here. You see the Runic Tarot here. I did unbox it earlier. If you want to see my true first impressions, like just like within 5 minutes of opening the deck, you can go check out that on my YouTube channel, The Sonic Shaman. But this is going to be all for Goddess Elite. So we have this. Well, one, I love that the box has like this little quick reference guide, and having gone through the book a little bit now, they also have a little reference guide in the very beginning. So like if you're just getting started and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't remember all these runes and all these things and what goddess is what, there is. Let me just look at it because it's gonna be taking me longer just to thumb through it. Let's see here. Here we go. So you can see there's this page here that has all the major arcana, what god appears on it, because all the major arcana have gods. It's not just runes. There's like actual Norse mythology built into it. And I have a couple examples of that as I go through the deck, and then also what rune it is. So it's like a really good comprehensive book. And for the major arcana, it has the full picture along with the explanation. It gives you the image explanation of the goddess and the story that may or may not be along with it, the tarot interpretation as well as the rune interpretation. So like I'm really impressed with the detail that went into this book. And also just to let you know, like on the front here, the whole deck was conceived of by Jack and Alan, and Jack's more the artist. Alan was like a consultant to like really put the runes together. And I believe her name is Jamie. She has a whole bunch of decks of her own, but she actually put together the amazing book that came with this. But let's dive into the cards, shall we? And incidentally, I've said this in my unboxing video. The reason that this deck like really called to me quite a bit is that when I was in high school and I went to a Renaissance fair, I I ran across this guy named the Village Alchemist, and he had all these clay talismans, and I bought a few of those, and I also bought these rune stones. They just look so cool, and I didn't really know what runes were, so I bought those from a Renaissance fair, and then I got a rune book from like Barnes and Noble or some similar store. I'm not sure which one, and actually started to learn the runes. And part of my journal back in the day, I wrote in runes. I had all the interpretations. I used to do rune readings. Haven't touched it in a long time, but I had kind of an interest to bring it back. But I don't have an interest in casting runes. But what a wonderful way to incorporate it into tarot. So let me go ahead and start with these. Okay, this is the major arcana. So we'll kind of look at some of the favorites and everything. But major arcana here we have no, actually, King of Swords. I'm in the wrong spot. Okay, was like one card off. So Blasted Tower. I love this card because like if you go back into the original, like not just the Rider Right deck, if you go back to like some of the original artwork and everything, it was actually like a correlation to Shiva energy and like destruction energy. And it was about like well, multifold, but taking down your walls and things, but also like just the will of the soul blasting forth. And in the Kabbalah reading of the tarot, this card is the divine masculine. It is the will. And just seeing the dragon kind of melting away all of the reality that doesn't serve you. This is the card that is like, I just really resonate with it. We're not going to go into too much detail on all of them, but here's the devil, temperance. And when you start looking at these, I'll point it out in this next one here, you'll notice that there is the little rune that is illuminated here. And what I find very interesting as we start going through some of these, well, actually, here's a great example here, the King of Swords card that I had originally flipped over. This is actually a bind rune. If you look, there's two runes in one. So they have the B rune, and then you also have like the rune that looks like a P. The bind runes have different qualities to them because it's combining energy. So this gives way more information than a typical rune reading. And it's kind of cool because if you're a regular tarot reader, want to incorporate like a new thing, but don't want to just dive into like a whole new modality, right? You can incorporate it. It doesn't have to be the star of the show, because I do Kabbalah readings, Tree of Life readings. It might take me a little bit to come up the learning curve again for rune readings, but because it's such a subtle thing on the pictures and the pictures are close enough to what I'm familiar with, I could use this as a regular tarot deck and use it as a nice way, like a study deck to really learn the runes and not just like the regular runes. Like as I go through these, you'll find that there's some that are not the normal Futhkark. They have like the Sun Wheel and some other ones that are not typically included in the standard runes, which I really liked. So here's the Death card, which is a great card. Everybody freaks out when they see it, like, in the reading, but it's like the ending of cycles and things like that. We have Justice, we'll go over all the major arcana, and then I'm going to pick some favorites from the pip cards. Now, if you do watch my book review, this card, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like the Hermit card. And the way that I read it, the Kabbalah, the Hermit with the little lantern, you're taking like all the will and the abilities, the infinite possibilities of soul, and it's about condensing it down into a single point of light that can more easily be actualized. And at first, when I saw this card, I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of like missing the meaning for me. But then when I looked up the rune, it was very serendipitous. It was very on point. So, like, what I found is with a lot of these rune cards for some of the deeper esoteric meanings, the runes are hitting on those, even though this isn't like Tree of Life deck. But I find it very interesting that the runes have correlations. So they really did their research on this. And because like great truths, you often find there's like um, a weaving of things, like they just happen to kind of come together. This one, this one stands out. This is a strength card. Let me hold it up a little bit higher so you can see it. Normally, this is a lion, but there's like a Norse story about a girl who finds this bear that was like a king turned into a bear, and there's like a lot of real cool significance in the story, and so it really makes sense that instead of a lion that they're using a bear. But I really love how they take the Norse stories and really weave them in to make it relevant. They chose the gods that appear in each one of these cards specifically with a purpose of how it really related best to tarot. The chariots, I mean, there's no card I don't like, let's be real. The lovers, but the artwork on all of these is just super awesome. The magician. Now here, all the elements are on his belt and everything. The typical card, everything is like in a little pouch within. They have a little bit of a different interpretation, but like what the cool thing is, like I'm already doing readings. I can go and just do my normal what it means to me. But the more like different variations on a theme that one might resonate more for one client over another. So like it's really great to add to your repertoire and your tool belt. But then again, there's no need. You could just get this deck strictly because you love the artwork in it and just read the way that you read. But if you're brand new to it all and you don't do runes or tarot, like this one deck, like you really kind of learn both. And it's a lot of the mythology. It's like the book is really phenomenal. It could stand on its own to learn the runes. Just going through the Emperor. I can never pronounce this word, but this is like the spiritual judge card. The World. Judgment. We'll hold this one up higher. This is one of the artworks that stood out to me a little bit more. And also this one, the Sun card, beautiful. The Moon. Actually, I'm flipping them upside down now because I'm forgetting about the camera angle. Like, no, I did this one wrong. Did I do it right? No. Okay. You guys can just see me like screwing this up here. The Hangman will really screw me up. The Star. And there we go with the major arcana. So I'm just going to kind of flip through. Now, here's this is the little drinking horns are the cups in this deck. And I love that here, there's actually 4 different runes. And when you look it up in the book, it has just a little meaning. So with the major arcana in the book, it gives like a really long explanation of what the rune meaning is. And then when you move on to the minor arcana, it is more like, here's the rune, here's a little blip of a meaning. So they're not as much of a focus with the minor arcana. But if you're real familiar with the runes, you could really take a much deeper dive into these things. Same thing with the 3 of Cups. There's a number of different um, runes at the top, more than one. And then here is our first bind rune. So they have like the seal or whatnot, and then they have I forget which rune this is. It's it translates to N, like the letter N when you look at it. But here's a bind rune, and bind runes have all kinds of different magical connotations too, because there's these energies that are working together. And I feel that they've done this where it makes sense for the purpose of the card. And then here's a card with multiple bind runes, and I find it interesting that they do these on the minor arcana, and it wasn't so much on the major arcana. Okay, let's see. I don't want to show all of them because, we only have so much time. But I also found that all the court cards, like the Princess of Cups, the Queen of Cups, all of these typically have bind runes. So I found that kind of cool because, like in the Kabbalah reading, the court cards are all soul cards, as is the ace. So the ace is like the divine feminine, and the king is the divine masculine, and then the queen is for thoughts, the knight is for emotion, the page is for action. So it's all like 5 elements of the soul, and then all the not minor arcana all correlate to different parts of the body and things like that. But anyway, that's like a video for a different day because you don't want to know how I read cards. You want to do it how you do it. I'm just seeing if there's any other ones that really kind of stood out to show you. So they're all cool. Let's just be real. And I got this from Goddess Elite. She definitely has them in stock. Well, if you're watching this in the future, maybe she won't. But like, you always check out. It's always nice to shop local. Like, I have a web store. I sell tuning forks and aromatherapy. It's always nice when you buy from someone local versus like one of the juggernauts or whatnot. Knight of Pentacles. Look again, the bind runes with the court cards. So let's see if there's any other ones that we really want to go through. Well, here's an example of the sun wheel. So they have a rune that's not typically included with the runes that you read with. More bind runes. And I love how they really just make the runes part of the artwork, and it kind of is subtle. So if you're not really going to focus on the runes, people may not even notice it. Oh, I loved this card. This is the 10 of Wands, and it's just like the magic bust forth. Just wonderful. Okay. Just looking to see any other ones. They're all good though. 10 of Swords. Page of Swords. There's just a couple more. So anyway, there is just a ton of amazing things. Now, in the back of the book, haven't gone through all that. They give you a couple different rune spreads, which I thought was really nice. I'll read them first, and then I'll kind of show you the book of it. I'll show you them in the book using the cards. And I'll play around with these spreads. But they have the Odin Sight spread that they give you. There is the Norn spin spread. And of course, you can use any traditional tarot spread as well. And then here is the magical action spread that they give you as well. And then the different ways to like what each card represents. So like in the Odin Sight spread, you have the first, number one card is the past, then you have the present, the future, and the one above it is the action stuff. So this is the deck in a nutshell. I'm going to give myself a much deeper dive into this, and I'd love to do like a practice reading on air live. Maybe I'll pick someone or something like that. And we'll do that through Goddess Elite, of course, because like she has, I don't know, it just feels like to do it on her channel. So like if you're interested in maybe being a live participant and getting that reading, please make a comment. And we would love to we'll pick somebody that does a comment. Um, and we will then I will end up doing one. I might need a week or so to really dive into the book and brush up on my runes so I can do it live, because like recorded I can always like look up everything, but if I'm doing it live I kind of got to know. All right, give me permission to look things up on there if I forget something. But this is an amazing deck. I recommend it for a beginner or advanced person alike. It's amazing, and I highly recommend that if it calls to you, to add it to your repertoire. Thank you so much.